Now, when you turn on the oxygen concentrator, you will hear an alarm system, which sounds similar to this. That is a good sign when you turn on the O2 concentrator, because that will let you know that the backup alarm system is functioning correctly. If at any time when you power on your O2 concentrator you do not hear that sound, you want to discontinue use of your concentrator and move over to your backup oxygen system. The reason is because since there is no alarm sound, you will not be notified if your concentrator starts to malfunction. So you would like to discontinue use at that time. If you do hear that sound when you power on your O2 concentrator, that would indicate that the backup alarm system is working okay and you can continue use as needed. Whenever O2 concentrator is delivered, it should be delivered with an oxygen startup kit. Inside your oxygen startup kit will be a humidifier bottle, 25-foot length of oxygen tubing, 2 separate nasal cannulas, an oxygen Christmas tree adapter in case humidity is not needed, and an oxygen swivel connector as well. We will teach you how to connect all of these items, care for them, clean them, switch them out as necessary. The first item we have was the oxygen Christmas tree, or also referred to as O2 Christmas tree adapter, which will connect to the spout of where the oxygen is being delivered. Be sure not to cross thread the O2 Christmas tree, as cross threading may cause improper oxygen flow. So once you have it connected, there is no need to over tighten it with the tool. Hand tight is okay. Then you may proceed to open your oxygen 25-foot tubing. There are different lengths of oxygen tubing that are available. There is a 7-foot oxygen tubing, 25-foot oxygen tubing as this, and then there are 50-foot oxygen tubing as well. For your oxygen tubing, both sides have female connections. One side of the female connections is to connect to either your O2 Christmas tree adapter, if being used, or your oxygen humidifier bottle, if being used. The other side of your oxygen tubing will connect to your oxygen swivel connector. So we will remove that from the item, from the plastic. It is called a swivel connector because it swivels. So when you have longer lengths of tubing and your tubing were to swivel, it would not cause a kink in the airflow. Okay? The other side of your oxygen tubing will connect to your O2 nasal cannula. Okay? So we'll open our O2 nasal cannula as such, which will also have a female end. Connect that to the other side of your oxygen swivel connector. And then you would like to place your O2 nasal cannula over the patient's ears, under their chin, into their nostrils. Okay? And then this piece here is to secure the nasal cannula in place to make sure it doesn't move as the patient is resting. Okay? Because your oxygen tubing is quite long, as you can see, you want to make sure that it does not get kinked. Any type of kink in the oxygen tubing as such would cause an improper airflow or inadequate oxygen flow to the patient. So you always want to make sure there are no kinks. Always keep it straight. If you do have long tubing lengths, make sure you do not place them any under vinyl runners, underneath any throw rugs or carpeting as well. Make sure they are always in an area where people can see, so no one is to stand or to step on it, causing also an obstruction in the air or oxygen flow. Okay? Sometimes you may experience a water condensation buildup within your O2 oxygen tubing. This is due to the oxygen concentrator not being in an area that is more well ventilated or well ventilated enough. So if you do experience water condensation in the line, you would want to first move your concentrator to a place where there is more ventilation or better ventilation, and then as well as you can contact Advocare Systems and we will be able to provide you with an O2 water trap which will be able to collect any water condensation that would build in the line. This here is your oxygen water trap. So this is what it would look like out of the plastic. It has a cap on either end. You can remove the cap, and if you remove the cap, that's when you would be able to empty out any water droplets or condensation that would build in the line. This is the water trap for the water condensation, and it will replace your O2 swivel connector. So if you look, I will disconnect my nasal cannula first from one side of the swivel connector. Oops. As well as disconnect the swivel connector from the oxygen tubing. Then you will place your O2 water trap to the female end of your oxygen tubing. Then connect the female end of your nasal cannula to the other side of your oxygen water trap. Okay. And that setup there is how you would install your O2 water trap in order to prevent any water condensation from building in the line and going to the nasal cannula, getting to the patient. Sometimes during the course of use, you may hear a few different alarms on your oxygen concentrator. Okay. The first type of alarm we would talk about would be a continuous alarm. Okay. And it sounds similar to this. Okay. That continuous alarm sound there is what is considered a good alarm. The reason that is considered a good alarm is because there's mostly two reasons that is the cause of the alarm. Loss of power at your outlet, where your outlet has become unplugged. So you want to check your outlet or your power plug and make sure you plug it back into a proper outlet, which I don't have. The next cause that may cause that alarm to sound may be this circuit breaker here. On the top of your power button, there is a white or a black button. This white or black button is considered to be your circuit breaker or surge protector. This will activate in situations where there's an electrical power surge so that it would to protect the concentrator from damage. If this is activated, it may cause your consistent alarm that you previously heard. So in order to correct the situation, you want to check your power source, plug that into an outlet. After doing so, check your circuit breaker. If it's activated, press this in to reactivate it. Once the surge protector has been reset, you can go ahead and power back on. And of course, when you power back on, you should hear that alarm sound for 1 to 5 seconds to let you know that the backup alarm sound is currently functioning. This here is an hour meter. The hour meter will display how many hours the oxygen concentrator has been running since the life of the concentrator has started at 0. Here is your adjustment knob to be able to adjust your prescription of liter flow, and then this is your liter flow meter, which will display how many liters of oxygen that the oxygen concentrator may be able to provide for any given patient. There are 2-liter concentrators available, 5-liter concentrators available, 10-liter concentrators available, and 8-liter concentrators available as well. The liter flow will display a higher increment of units if it is an 8 or 10 liter concentrator. If you look inside there, there will be a ball that would raise as you turn your control knob up and down. To be able to set it to the proper prescription, the line that is on your flow meter should cut the ball or slice the ball in half. Okay? So that there would be approximately 3 liters per minute. Okay? Now, for those patients that require humidity, we say there is an oxygen humidifier bottle that can also be used instead of your oxygen Christmas tree adapter. Okay? This is your oxygen humidifier bottle. Okay? If you look at your oxygen humidifier bottle, you will see 2 lines. You have a minimum line and you have a maximum line. You always want to use only distilled water, because tap water and other waters may have minerals and fluoride and iron deposits, which will cause a white calcium buildup in the bottom of the bottle, as well as tend to clog the nasal cannula and the tubing. So distilled water is recommended. You would like to change your water twice a day, recommended, once a day for sure. Never let the water go below the minimum. Never fill it above the maximum. Always level should be in between the 2 lines. Once your water has been filled, then you may go ahead and proceed and connect the humidifier bottle to your oxygen concentrator. If you can see here, our humidifier bottle has been filled with our distilled water. Next step is to power off your concentrator if it's running, and disconnect your oxygen tubing and twist off your O2 Christmas tree. Then your humidifier bottle, which has a similar spout, make sure you do not cross thread, and connect that to your oxygen concentrator. Okay. You should see some bubbling in the humidifier bottle if everything is connected correctly. Then you connect your oxygen tubing to the front of your humidifier bottle to complete the process. Then of course your nasal cannula would go to the patient, over the ears, into the nostrils, and secured in place. On the back side of your oxygen concentrator, you will see a bacterial filter, or dirt particle filter. This filter should be cleaned once a week for sure, twice a week recommended. To clean your filter, simply remove from the machine. Do not operate the oxygen concentrator as the filter is being cleaned. After you remove the filter, you may take it out, rinse the filter under warm water, squeeze out any excess dirt in a towel, and any excess moisture, squeeze that in a dry towel. After you squeeze it out, the excess moisture in a dry towel, and it has been cleaned, you may place it back damp, but not wet. And that filter should be cleaned, once again, once a week for sure, twice a week is recommended. If during the course of use of your oxygen concentrator, you are unsure if the oxygen is being delivered to the oxygen nasal cannula, or you cannot feel the oxygen being delivered to the nasal cannula, you can get a cup of water or a glass of water, and once you get the glass of water as such, you may take your nasal cannula and dip that into the glass of water to see if any bubbles come out. If you do see it bubbling, that does mean it is a good sign and that oxygen is being delivered through the tubing to the nasal cannula. Of course, before connecting back to a patient, make sure you dry out the nasal cannula from any water droplets that may have formed around the tubing due to submerging it into the water. The second type of alarm we would like to talk about, unfortunately we would be unable to produce at this time, would be an intermittent alarm. If you hear a beep, beep, beep sound, that would be a sign to discontinue using your oxygen concentrator and move over to your backup oxygen system. Give Advocare Systems a call and let us know so we can come out and switch out your oxygen concentrator and replenish any oxygen tanks if necessary.